because we published, beloved. Hello there. We're here because we published, beloved. We did it.
We
And
did.
your book is out in the world and paperback.
Hey, yeah.
Yes.
Payment.
Yeah, yes. I'm very happy to have you here. I remember when your cover was first revealed and I first saw what it looked like, and I'm sitting here following the X's and the circles, and I said, "Emma, what am I supposed?" I said, "How am I supposed to read this?" So I said, "Oh, I'm just supposed to read it." It's everything and nothing at once. A black man's reimagined soundtrack for the future. And what I love is that in the book you reference the title again when you say that blackness is everything and nothing at once. So thank you, Joél Leon, for being here with us. You are published, we are published, and I want to talk to you not just about this incredible soundtrack, but also about your journey to becoming a published author, your first time out. So tell us, when was the book released? I mean, I know that I do personally, but
Yeah.
the readers, listeners, and watchers may not know. And what's the journey been like from original release to book tour, promotion,
Yeah.
paperback, all of that?
Yeah. Well, again, I'm so grateful. I'm glad to be in conversation with you, Dr. Jen Jackson, the prestigious Dr. Jen Jackson. Um, and so really, really quick. So the title, even the original title of the book was "What Kind of Black Are You?" I've been holding
Mm,
for years.
that's your essay title,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so the marketing team, listen, the marketing team was concerned. I did not share the concerns, but they were concerned that it was going to come across as like a tutorial or a how-to book
Mm,
about that. And so Rita Powers, my fantastic editor, she was like, listen, so we have a different title for you. And I was like, already first of all, Rita told me that they weren't going to be, they didn't feel comfortable with "What Kind of Black Are You?" And I'm ready, like, I'm crawling out of my skin.
yeah,
And Rita's like, you know, she Rita gives me the title and she's like, this is your title. You came
that's
up
right.
with this. I didn't even, I was, and pointed to the fact that I written it in the book. And so
Yeah.
there was a lot of synergy and like, I would say like serendipity for
Mm,
this. And so really quickly leading up to the book. And I just finished teaching this poetic nonfiction class. And like the last day, this past Sunday, was the business of publishing. Like,
mm,
we had
mhm,
done a lot of writing, there's prompt giving, we were sharing, but I wanted to give folks the opportunity to get some level of preparedness for what it looks like to publish a book because, I don't want to speak for both of us here, Jen, but that you walk into this, I didn't know how to build out a proposal. No one is telling me
mhm,
why do I have two agents instead of one, right?
mhm,
There's a very specific reason for that in my case. Primarily because Sonali, my wonderful agent at Folio, Sonali was really handling almost like the nuts and bolts of the writing alongside my editor, especially when we were finessing the proposal. And Catherine Latshaw, the real lead agent, she's the one handling the logistical legal stuff. She's
mm,
doing a lot of the correspondence with the publishers, right? Like she's handling that day-to-day stuff. And so as a newly published author, at least in the major and with a major publisher, that was kind of like that helped for me
mm,
in that way because they both have different levels of expertise. Um, but I'd published two smaller like books through like an independent publisher. One was a book, a collection of poetry. Another was a collection of affirmations pulled from my Twitter feed back when Twitter was still Twitter, right?
mhm,
Um, and so we tabled that. The summer of 2020, pandemic, the murder of George Floyd, hotbed for grief and for blackness. I mean, Dr. Jen, you're aware of this. We've talked about this before. Like when we think about a lot of those DEI
yeah,
initiatives created around then that have kind of fallen flat, unfortunately, for
yeah,
administration. But because of that, a really good friend of mine, Elizabeth Velasquez, who was already signed to Folio Literary, she reached out to me because the agency had essentially, they were looking for a manuscript, some black and brown folks,
mm,
marginalized community. And she was like, do you have a manuscript? And I was like, no, but I can get one. You know what I'm saying? Because at that point, I'd been writing essays on medium.com. I kind of started building up some
yeah,
headlines outside of Medium for like the past 6 or 7 years or so. And so I'd already been gathering some material, and I knew where to pull from. And I had two previous kind of situations with agents who had ghosted me. Like one agent just ghosted me completely. Another agent wanted me to write a memoir, but they wanted me to write it in a more straightforward way that wasn't as prosaic as I show up on the page. And
Yeah.
we decided to part ways. Um, and so I submit my manuscript. Catherine at Folio at the time, she's like, she sends me an email. You know, agents don't ever respond to emails, but so was that already? That was a good sign for me. I'm like, okay, we're on track here. Around that same time, I had done a podcast called The Spark Project with Jonathan Fields in like January, right?
Mm.
Around January, February. Fantastic podcast. Jonathan hits me back up, I want to say May. Now keep in mind, I'm be bouncing over. I'm trying to keep this quick. But like in June is probably right around the time I sent my manuscript to Catherine through Elizabeth. May is when I interview with Jonathan again.
Mhm.
Because when Jonathan recorded me in January, they lost my vocals. It's a thing. He's like, it's never happened before. It's like, it's called like a ghost vocal or something like
Wow.
and so he's like, this had the producer told him this maybe happened one time in his entire career. They had Jonathan's vocals, not mine, so we had to re-record.
Yeah.
Around that time, I'd already been writing a couple of op-eds for Newsweek, primarily around some of the race conversations that were happening. After we finished the podcast, Jonathan's like, yo, Joel, man, you've been killing it. Do you have a manuscript? I'm
Mm.
like, well, I've been working on one, right?
Yeah.
So I send it over to him. Maybe like a couple of weeks later, he he emails me. He's like, hey, listen, my agent would love to like speak to you.
Hmm.
Because I sent him the manuscript draft. Lo and behold, the agent that was representing Jonathan was the president of Folio Literary.
Wow.
And so when I hit him back, I'm like, listen, this is incredible because I already sent I sent my manuscript to Catherine. And he's like, that's wild because Catherine was the person I was going to connect you with anyway
Wow.
after I saw your manuscript. And so there was just a lot of that. You know, Holt McMillan, and I tell people for those who don't know, Toni Morris is my favorite writer of all time.
As you
Hands
should
down.
be. Yeah.
Bart, right? You know, Holt McMillan, I didn't know this at the time, but my book went up for silent auction. So there were
Mm.
two publishers that were bidding on my book. It was Holt McMillan and Black Privilege, Charlemagne God's imprint over at Simon and Schuster, which offered me way more money, to be clear. Um, but when I was looking through the brand guidelines that my agent sent me, I come to find out that Holt McMillan were the original publishers of The Bluest Eye,
Mhm.
bought the rights to it.
Mhm.
And so that to me, again, it was just like, listen, there's already synergy here. I got on the phone with Rita Powers, and the rest was history. It was the most
Mm.
synergistic interview I had. You could tell she understood the work. She got down in the dirt with the work. She was asking me really provocative questions about the work. Then you can tell she cared about it and she wanted
Yeah.
to push me forward. Um, the book is published June 4th, 2024. The You know, we went on book tour. In between that book tour, I got to interview some folks like the brilliant
Yeah.
and Jackson because there was like an inaugural class of folks who were putting out books for the first time last year,
Yeah.
which is really awesome. You know, I went to we hit up Brooklyn. We were in the Bronx for the Bronx Book Festival. I was in LA, Reparations Club,
Yeah.
Delaware. We made a couple of trips around the sun. You know, in between that, I have some manuscripts, you know what I'm saying? There was a lot of waiting, that I
Mhm.
know you're accustomed to, between the time of me signing. So I signed with Folio, I want to say late summer, like, or maybe even early fall of 2022.
Mm.
I finalized finally my book deal with Holt, I want to say in 2023.
Mm.
Had to be. And we spent about a good, I want to say 8 months working on the manuscript before the book was published in 2020.
Mm.
We were originally going to publish the book for Black History Month, but the team felt like it was going to be too crowded of a moment.
Yes, it was. A lot of books came out.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Yeah.
and then we were avoiding the fall because fall is really when the heavy hitters are going to be dropping their books as well.
Yeah.
Summer, which I mean, my book is not a summer book. I tell people like my book is not a beach read. I've seen some people take it to the beach. I'm very surprised by that. But
You're very surprised?
they're like, okay, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know you want to be reading out on the beach.
I mean, it's a little heavy for the beach. It's a little
A little
very,
bit.
very
I'm just saying it's a lot.
but
You know?
and I think one thing I really I mean, I adore you, Joel, you know this already, but, um I think one thing I really like about the book, among many things, is it's very vulnerable. Like you are one thing I've always enjoyed about you in your presence, both in social media, but just in actual real life, is you are very honest. You don't shy away from feelings, right? Part of what you write here is actually about that, right? About the challenges of seeking out vulnerability as a black man, and growing up in the Bronx and, kind of being socialized that you're not supposed to be that way, and so what does it look like to kind of unlearn that and then kind of reparent yourself in such a way, and then doing that while raising children? And so I really, I guess, wanna hear from you about what it was like for you to put that in book form, right? Because it's one thing I think for us, those of us who we have our day jobs and then we have social media and it's like we don't I don't consider you and I content creators. I think we do stuff on the internet, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
people like it and it's like, wow, thanks everyone, right?
yeah,
But I actually, you are a real person and you are actually like this, right? You are actually you are always very genuine and thoughtful, but that doesn't always translate in book form. So how did you work through the process of saying, "I'm gonna actually show up completely in this book"?
Well, I love you, Jen. So thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you for all that. Again, shout out to Rita Powers because after the first draft, one thing that Rita called out to me, Rita was like, Joe, I go to your Twitter feed and there's so much joy in this. And I'm not really seeing that come to life on the page.
Mm,
Right. Like there was some humor, you know what I'm saying? Like the amount of times I heard people be like, I didn't know you were this funny. I'm like, well, sorry. You know what I mean? This is there. Um, but it was, I think, one thing I want to call out, I wasn't always this honest. You know
mm,
what I'm saying? I wasn't always this vulnerable. I very much was the person who I think leaned into love and black woman as a means to like fill myself up without necessarily
mm,
pour into other people, right?
mm,
Like I've been the person who's I think been emotionally manipulative at times,
mm.
especially in my 20s, where I was learning myself. And it's not an excuse, but there was so much I didn't know about who I was and who I wanted to be. And like, you show up in love like a crash test dummy. You're just throwing yourself into things because you're like without figuring yourself out first. And that's a
Yeah.
really hard dance to do. I end this 6-year relationship, um, and that ends right before I turned 30. And I turned 30. I'm like, who the fuck am I? Who do I want to
Mm,
who am I outside of this? And so a lot of that was me having to tear down whatever I thought I was and whatever performance I felt like I had to do in order to show up in the world. And a lot of that prior to was because, I was an MC. And so you show up in these environments in the industry and there's a certain kind of way you're supposed to show up as a man.
yeah.
If not, you're gonna be deemed feminine and you don't want that, especially at
Yeah.
that time. Right?
Yeah.
I think we fail to realize how much of a renaissance is happening right now where there's a lot of work we have to do as black men, so much.
Mhm.
And also to see brothers showing up and creating like writing circles, yoga
Mhm.
instead of like waiting for black women to do it. It's like there's a lot of
Mhm.
that we're like, yo, we gotta heal each other first.
Mhm.
What does that look like? And so, I'm reading Ram Dass. I'm listening to dharmaseed.org, which is really my entry point into Buddhism.
Mhm.
Like Divine Zan's book, Spirit of a Man, was actually pivotal for me.
Mm.
Some of the language is dated. If you read it, it's like real like old school, like
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a point, Jen, in the back of the book where Ayana just gives you a glossary. And I
Yeah.
remember putting that glossary on like index cards and I would just walk around. I was still in this relationship, but it was speaking to me in a way that
Yeah.
I hadn't it was a new voice that I hadn't heard before. And so I think it started showing up in the writing before the book came. So by the time, 6, 7 years, right? Like I'm writing Lila, my firstborn, who's 9 now, right? Lila comes around 2015, so I'm like probably 32.
Mm.
I'm 42 now. The book, I'm really starting to write the book right around 2015. When Lila's born, we're still kind of feeling the effects of Ferguson. And so that's me processing a lot. And so
Mm.
I had to be vulnerable on the page. I didn't feel like I had a choice because
Mm.
I felt like I was suffocating. You know, like, I'm a new dad. I don't know how to do this. I'm living in my mom's crib. I'm in my 30s. I feel like a failure. I got
Mm,
all these followers, but it don't mean jack shit because I'm not paying rent. My job is paying me less than 40K. Like,
mhm,
I don't know how to put these pieces together. And so the writing was my savior. It was like,
mm,
I need to write. And so I need to be honest about it. And so when you read an essay like For Color Boys Contemplating Suicide,
yeah,
it's like, Jen, I'm writing, a lot of those like, I wanna say about 6 of those 5 or 6 of those essays were essays I had posted on Medium beforehand, so they were probably like, 1,100 words, 1,200 words. I'm writing this essay before I talked to my brother about me arrested as a child, and in order for me to finish the essay, I literally stopped writing the essay, and I was like, "Okay, if I'm gonna finish this, I need to talk to my brother." Right, and so we figured out a like, we met for, like, I think drinks or something like that in the city, maybe, like, a week or so after, had the conversation, then I went back and finished the essay. You feel me?
wow,
Like, I was going through the process while
wow,
in it, and I was fortunate enough to have a practice, I think that helped sustain me. Some of that was just me being a father, like, the glow and the joy
yeah,
I got from Lila Wow, dealing with the very traumatizing, I think, co-parenting experience I was having at the time.
mm,
But it was, and I was in band at the time, but writing was my sustenance. And so what you're seeing on the page is me surviving, I think.
mm, mm. I love that. I love it, and I get it. Like, I understand it, right? And I empathize, especially since, I mean, we're talking about writing in specific times, right?
Yeah,
Era of Movement for Black Lives, where
yeah.
we are reeling from, as you said, Ferguson, where we are looking at, Michael Brown's body lying in the middle of the street,
Mhm.
and we are seeing all these mass protests around the world for George Floyd, and then all the rollbacks of all the, gains that we had from the last 50 to 60 years, and then COVID, right? And so we're all riding in these kind of unprecedented, which feels like all the times that we're in. And I think what's interesting, for me and in engaging with your book, and this is something I've been doing more intentionally. I'll be honest, like I tend to read most stuff from Black women, right? Like I read
Yeah.
a lot of Black women's works,
I'm not
right?
mad at that. I
But,
understand
but
why.
yeah, right. But over the last few years, I've been like, I really wanna read, more stuff from Black men, right? So I've always read Kiese's work. I've always been into Kiese's work since back in the day. But I was like, "Yeah, I gotta read more than Kiese. I can't just be reading Kiese." And so I knew I was gonna get your book immediately when it came out. But then, like, I saw Carvel Wallace had Another Word for Love, and I was like, "I wanna read this book."
Yeah.
And I've been really sitting with what I got from actually all 3 of you because, um, all 3 of your books are kind of in conversation in some ways, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
about Kiese's, How to Slowly Kill Yourself and Others in America, the essay collection, and Carvel Wallace's memoir, and your, essay collection. And what strikes me about, reading about y'all's experiences is I'm like, yeah, Black masculinity is it's some hard shit, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Jesus, you know what I'm saying? You know
I
what I'm
know him.
saying?
Yeah.
Like, we be giving y'all a hard time, but I'm like, "Oh, y'all struggling," you know what I'm saying? And I think and this comes from my research as well, talking with young folk across the country, when I talk to young Black men, those have been some of the most emotional interviews I've had because I'll
Mhm.
have young Black men say to me, "Nobody has ever asked me these questions. No one has ever asked me how I feel. They've never asked me what makes me feel threatened or what leaves me feeling vulnerable or isolated." And I was reading your essay, What is the Sound of a Slap? Um,
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
and I was thinking about Carvel Wallace's book and where he talks about how he learned masculinity, and Kiese's book where he talks about masculinity. And I was like, yeah, it's fucked up, right? Because we ask so much of Black men, right? We ask y'all to be tough, right? We ask y'all not to cry. We ask y'all,
Mhm.
not to have all the fifis. But then we also like want y'all to like be vulnerable. But nobody's teaching you, right? And so I guess what I want to hear from you, especially for like Black men who want to write, right? but who may be afraid because maybe they're still on that journey of trying to at least even be honest with themselves
Yeah,
about those feelings.
cool.
How how do they how do they get there, right? How do they get, because I imagine it takes community. I imagine it takes having black men around you. I imagine it has those components that are necessary. But how do you figure that out?
Again, I don't wanna sound like a broken record, but, I love you so much, Jen. And the reason I say that because it's really important is because you're talking about the thing that I listen, it stresses me to no end. And this exists outside of just the conversation around black men. It's the stuff that you like, when I sent you that voice note, right? About folks not the nuance of it all. And so it's been really important, incredibly important for me that if I'm gonna see you, I also have to understand the contextual history of the person
Mm,
in the room too. And I feel like a majority of the time, black men are walking into the rooms and people are not acknowledging the history that's coming with them.
yeah.
And so I come from the hood, so like there's a fine dance that I had to do very early on. And so I grew up around black and brown folks, impoverished environments, and then went to a high school where white kids were doing coke and were also had the freedom to like they would take their shoes off in the hallway and they were just doing things that clearly to me spoke to, well, there's a kind of freedom that they have with no worry or concern or care that I know nothing about.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have the language for that then, but it was interesting to see that tug and pull happen. And so I get older, and I mean, honestly, my mindfulness practice, my Buddhist practice is the thing that gave me understanding, right? It gave me clarity about who I was in my experience. It also gave me the space I needed in order to process. Of course, that alongside therapy,
Yeah.
because it gave me the tools, it gave me the resources, and but more importantly, it gave me the language.
Yeah.
And then I'll be honest with you, social media was a really big part, like as a brother I would never consider myself an intellectual, but what I will say is that we're looking at 2013, 2014. I think about folks like Sherelle Brown, who's on the front lines at Ferguson, who was really dispelling a whole lot of information. Like we're starting to see folks talking about, but I did not know who Bell Hooks was.
Mm.
Not until 2014, 2015. Like people as much I like listen, I hate social media as is the next person, but
Mhm.
it was a blessing because what you also saw was, you talk about the Ebony Genesis of the world. You're talking about black
Absolutely.
women who were educating us for free,
Free.
right? And unpacking, right? Like I didn't know who Kimberly Crenshaw was until
Mm.
2015, 2016. Like that learning, and then I would investigate. I see a name. I'm a Capricorn, so I'm just like, I want to know everything. So
Yeah.
you give me the information. I'm like, all right, cool, bet.
Yeah.
You know? And so it starts there for me. And then I'm like, man, I know I'm in conversation with other brothers are not, who don't have the access.
Mm.
So like even you brought up something really beautiful when we were talking about the young boys. So like there's a writing group, wellness group. And I don't even call it a writing group because it's not really about the writing, but I'm doing it through NARC NYC, which is a men's running group, and Safe Space Studios based in Brooklyn. It's a black and brown woman led cooperative that like supports, arts, culture, all this, whatever. And they've opened their space up to us for me to lead these like 2-hour workshops.
Yeah.
So the first time we had the workshop,
Yeah.
and it's very simple, Jen. I give them prompts. They write to the prompts. We share our responses to the prompts. I help them sift through the prompts. It's like a very like rudimentary process, but
Mhm.
we it the first session, the first question I asked them was, "What does it f- what does it mean to you to feel safe?"
Hmm.
And the first 3 men who responded were like, "No one has ever asked me that before."
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh," and I knew it. Like I heard that, and I was like, "Oh, we're on to something." It's exactly what you're talking about. No one is asking us, like the next session, the session number 2 we're talking about pleasure. What does pleasure mean to you? What does intimacy mean to you? How do you like to be touched?
Mhm.
And that can be uncomfortable, but it's like I need y'all to be thinking about that because you need that language for yourself.
Right.
And no one is giving us, and granted, it's not everyone's job to just give us language, but as a
Right.
child, when I'm talking to my girls, my 9-year-old and my 5-year-old about autonomy and agency, no one telling black boys about that. It's be firm, be a man, be
Yep,
a provider, be a protector, even if that means risking and endangering your life.
that's right.
And there's no space to be like, where's the soft space for you to land, and also have that space to land that holds you accountable, but also can forgive you and can love you, but let you know when you done fucked up, but also love you in spite of, and like, I need to be able to do the same,
Right.
without hurting each other. And like what
Right.
and hurt might happen, but the
Right.
harm,
Right.
like, how do we process that? And like, again, black men don't have the language for that. And so you're seeing a new wave, I think, of black men who are trying to help other black men unpack that and doing that collectively. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work, but the work is necessary.
Yeah. I love that. I love that also because I think that writing is such an important part of that, right? I think that's coming out in the way that we're discussing our own writing. And especially in these moments when we are seeing these atrocities being committed against Black folk of all
Mhm.
genders, of all
Yes.
experiences, of all races, of all religious backgrounds, of all abilities, of all statuses, right? We're seeing this happen to Black, brown, queer, trans, migrant folk, right? And I think, like I watched a video on Instagram the other day of this Black man, and he's just crying. He's just crying.
I need some videos talking about with the
Yeah, and
eye prayers that
he
came to
can't even
school.
get through the conversation, right?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
trying to explain what's happening. He's like, "Damn, I didn't even know this was gonna fuck me up like this,"
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I think what I really enjoy about your book is it's like, actually, I did know this was gonna fuck me up like this. And I'm okay with that, right? Like, that's one of the
Yeah.
things I
Yeah.
really enjoy about your writing
Yeah.
and the way you show up is like, "Nah, this is fucking me up." You know what I'm saying? Like, I really love it. I have to be honest, that's one of the things I really enjoy about you. Um, and I think that's why I also wanna know, for, the Black men who are and it's I mean, there's lots of folks who are gonna be watching and listening, but I really wanna focus on the Black men who are watching and Black masculine folks and about your process, on the journey. So, going into bookstores, going through your book tour,
Yeah.
introducing yourself to bookstore owners and podcasts and all of that.
Yeah.
What was your experience like? I sometimes think because it is a very woman and gender expansive dominated space. Publishing
Yeah.
just is.
Yeah.
And so I wonder what has been like for you as a Black man in those spaces.
This is why I love you, Jen, because people don't listen. Uh, Fred, my very good friend Fred Joseph and I have this conversation often where it's like black men dominate a lot of spaces.
Yeah,
Patriarchy is alive and
sure,
well, like even in publishing industry,
sure.
and also
Yeah, yeah,
right? It is a very female identified, woman identifying
yeah,
space. So
yeah.
I think for me, it's not difficult because I was raised by women. I'm comfortable. I love women. I love women identifying folks. Like it doesn't matter. Like it feels like home to me, to be honest. And so there's an ease. That's easy for me. I think the process that was more interesting, you might be able to relate to this. It's the publishing industry was intimidating for me. It's very similar to like how the music industry was intimidating to me because I never felt like I fit in. Right? Like
Yeah,
I'm a listen, for all intents and purposes, I'm a hood nigga who knows how to rap, who could put words together, who figured out essays made the most sense.
yeah,
It gave me more language, right? It gave
yeah.
me more space. So I'd be going to rooms and I'm like, I'm not the person who can quote this person and that person. I haven't read every book. I'm like, I wish I could be the person that if you and I are sitting down, the great Dr. Philip. I said, I can't do it. That's
Yeah,
not me.
yeah,
I'll know the person, but I can't pull that.
yeah.
That's how I operate. And so there's an intimidation factor in that. But I've been welcome, like every bookstore I've went to, every person who's shown up, like we sold out reparations clothes.
Mm,
And that, Jen, me and my good brother Cyrus Aaron, we in the back, and like the sisters are telling me like, yeah, there's a line outside, and I'm like,
mm. Come
yeah,
on, line.
come on, line, like, it was so magical. It was so magical, and so when I was talking with the marketing team at Holt, and we were talking about what I wanted for the tour. I was like, I want to go to black owned bookstores,
That's right.
and I don't talk about it, but I was supposed to have my launch event at the Brooklyn Museum.
Mm,
And I opted no, because Nikki Giovanni had just pulled out
mm.
2 months prior to because of Gaza.
Yeah,
And I'm like, Nikki's standing on business. Ain't no way that I can't. So, we made it do what it do, and we wound up, but we wound up working with a smaller but pivotal black woman-owned bookstore, Donnie Bookstore in Brooklyn, and
Yeah,
Side Babel Loft to host, like, as a hosting space, and it was beautiful,
yeah.
but a lot of that was me knowing very much that I wanted to work with black-owned bookstores or black spaces,
Mhm.
and I wanted to have conversations with people I fucked with
Mm,
who not it didn't have to be a literary person. I really wasn't worried about that. Like Cyrus Aaron hasn't written a book, but
yeah,
he's a black man I love who's a brilliant poet who lived in LA. So I'm
yeah,
like, I want to talk to him.
yeah,
Like I'm just leaning into community, and that has been the saving grace for me. That has been the process. It's like leaning into community, and the reason I can do that is because I'm honest,
yes,
loving.
yeah,
I'm not doing it for a favor. I'm just doing it because I love you. So like
yeah,
if you reached out to me for like I was honored, because like listen, I know how you get down. And I also
yeah,
know that there's a sharp interrogation that you have of the people who are showing up in these spaces. And so for me to be chosen by you, it felt like chosen. Like, oh, it feels good to be seen in that way by people you admire and respect, right? And so
yeah,
that's the highlight for me more than anything. Like I don't it's we're not gonna be here we're not gonna be here forever. And so
yeah,
like trying to maximize
that's right.
the time I have with like beautiful folks. And so the book tour for me was just like it was like a celebration.
Mm,
For some people maybe I get it, like it can be stressful, but I'm what I'm saying, I'm used to like speaking in front of people, whatever.
yeah,
It was more so I'm getting to be in community. I was like, yo, I want to go to LA
that's
because I
right.
got people in LA. So I want
That's
to see
right.
I want to
Same,
go to Delaware. I ain't see my homegirl Chiffon in a minute.
same.
Hey, you know what I mean? Like, y'all
Yes,
paying for this? We going, all right, I'm gonna go see who I need to see
same.
and sell some books.
Yes. No, I agree. I told people the same thing, like, the book tour was like a family reunion. I just got to
Mm,
travel all over the country and hug up on my favorite black people. I was like, "I'm finna
yeah,
write hella books. I just wanna see you niggas, like, as often as possible." You know what I'm saying? It's truly, I think, a gift when you view it in that way, right?
yeah,
When you
yeah,
and you talk about this in the book too about like capitalism and what it does to us, right? And the ways it kind of it distances us from a vulnerability and a real love for the things we're experiencing and from ourselves, right?
yeah,
And I think that's the same thing for these book tours when they become these like monetized transactional events where it's just about selling books. For
yeah,
me, I'm like, no, I want to meet y'all. Like whenever someone walks up and says, I like your book, I'm like, please tell me your name. Who are you? Let's talk. Right. Like
yeah, yeah.
I would love to get to know you because you're a person, right? Like you're not just a sold book to me, you know?
Because you care about
Um,
community. That's like it's like I'm your people.
you're a
There are
person.
people. There are people. There's a person who's taking
Yeah.
money out of it. I don't know where you got the money. I don't know what your struggle is.
Right.
Like, there's a reason why you're spending your money to purchase my book. So I'm
Right.
grateful to that. I'm indebted to you for that.
Absolutely. That's how I feel every time. I'm always shocked too. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I know I wrote a book. Like I'm aware, but also I'm like, damn, you spent $30, my guy. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, right? 'Cause that's
Too
a tank,
lunches.
that's a tank of gas. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I think what I'm hearing from you also here, and this is something that also resonates with me, is I'm hearing about like worried about not being able to fit in, and that was something I also experienced where I was like they would send me emails like, "Hey, do you wanna change the whatever on the top of the page that does the blank?" And I was like and I decided going into the publishing process, I was not gonna feel any imposter syndrome. I was not gonna slide into my old ways of being like, you know? And so
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, listen, I don't know what that is. What the hell is that? Please describe it."
Do
Right?
please, not please describe it.
And then they would be like, "Oh, our bad. This is your first book. We're gonna break the" right? And I think, I really was like, I've leaned into I'm not gonna feel any shame about this. I'm not
Yeah.
embarrassed about this. I don't know what that is. This is my first
Yeah.
time doing this, and I
Yeah.
might not know the second time, to be honest with you. And so I wanna hear more, I think, from you about the things and the instances where you were like do I fit in? Do I belong here? If there were some surprises where you were like, I don't know what the hell.
I mean, I'll tell you a quick surprise. I've never done, well, actually, that's a lie. I did a virtual AWP
Mm,
through, Nicole Coco Jones, the
mm,
founder of, Bruce Wounds and Words, right? Shout out to Nicole because Nicole
Brilliant.
stay blessing, stay blessing
Brilliant
Nicole.
person.
You know, brilliant. You know, that's Nicole's the reason I taught that 6 week intensive for Puerto Rico.
Yes.
You know, and so that was the first time. But like I've always felt like not like this towards AWP, but it's like industry. It's me projecting. It's like, oh, I don't belong.
Mm.
Look at me, I'm a writer, I'm a rapper, whatever. You know, and so I've been nominated for a panel for 2026, right, to like speak on. And like granted,
Mhm.
the panel might not get selected,
Mhm.
but it's like like me recognizing that I'm being seen for a thing has been really nice. You know, Everything and Nothing at Once was nominated for Gotham Book Prize,
Come
and
on
so
now.
the book prize is given to. Granted, I didn't win, but I'm like, listen, I take a
Girl, come
nomination.
on now.
I love me a good nomination.
Yes, me too.
Give me a nom,
Yes.
okay? I'll take a nom, okay? But it's awarded to books that celebrate New York City. And when I
Mm,
was book, I wasn't really thinking about it as an archive of the city that I love and the borough I
absolutely.
grew up in. But there's points I'm like, man, there's places that just do not exist anymore,
Yeah,
and there's gonna be someone who's maybe gonna borrow this book from a library in 20 years and gonna know what Alexander's was,
that's right.
or Buster Brown or whatever. But I think what was most surprising to me was, I mean, honestly, how supportive Holt McMillan were, I mean, they took care of the tour. Tours aren't easy.
No, they're not.
Publishers are incredibly and historically stingy, especially
Mhm.
nowadays. So, they looked out, and I think I'm trying to think of the other instances though where I was like, oh man, I feel like I'm not good enough. I think some of that too was it kind of happened early on. It was in the early on process, like the negotiation process, signing of my deal. I had Rachel Ricketts. I think that's Rachel's last name. Rachel, a writer based out in Toronto. Rachel had connected me with the lawyer that they had worked with, and again, community when they had published their book, and he went through my contract that I got from Holt McMillan, right, to kind of just go over the points. But I can't read that. It's partially legalese,
Yes.
but it's just like they talking a whole bunch of like they talking royalties. And
Yes.
what does this mean? Like,
Calculations and shit. Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a lot of math, and it's not what I do.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I don't do math. I don't do math. Be doing me. Oh man, that be doing the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I'm keeping it a buck, and it's something I was telling my class, I was telling when we're talking about the business of publishing, I'm like, listen, y'all, tax season is no
Mm,
joke. I was not prepared for that, right? Ignorant as fuck. This is the most money I'd seen, like on top of my day job. I'm like, this is the most money I've seen in my life.
well, listen, I understand.
And so I'm like, and not even like, for the audience, not bragging. It's just like, oh,
No, it's weird.
I don't, it's weird. I don't know what to do with it. We took care of our debt. Listen, we talk about transparency. We back in debt. And so much of that is me not having a grip and understanding of what I was supposed to be doing with my advance check when I got it in the first place. Oh, I should be putting 10% away.
Yeah.
I file this like
Yeah.
very like I'm new to this business of publishing and no one is holding my hand through it. I
Yeah.
also didn't know to ask,
Yeah.
right? And so it's more of that kind of stuff. It's like the stuff that happened after the book came out, honestly, and the stuff that happened before. Like I think I could have promoted the book more,
Mhm.
way more, and
Mhm.
also too, that would have meant me maybe lowering my voice a little bit when it came to Palestine.
Mm,
And that's not a judgment on anybody else that did,
mhm.
but, like, it was very clear for me, like, I did not feel comfortable promoting my book in that
Same.
environment, right? And so it was me, like, and I'm not promoting on Amazon. I'm not promoting on book right?
Same.
Bookshop.
Yeah,
That's gonna affect your sales.
it
And so,
is.
it's like you say yes to certain things you compromise. And so would I do it differently? Probably not.
Mhm.
Because so much of it for me was just like it was like getting I got birthed the thing. And it's
Yeah.
wanting to do since forever. And I
Yeah.
did it. And so
You
I was like,
did.
all right, so like the paperback is coming out. I'm barely promoting that shit.
I saw your post, I said, "Friend."
Like, oh, by the way, and
It
but
was very, "Oh, by the way." I was like,
yeah.
Just
Got you. Bring it back. But it's like, LA is on fire. You know what I'm saying? Our brother,
right,
and so it's like
right.
the book is important, but there's
This
also,
the world, yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's the juggle.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I really do. I really do. Yeah, that's a word because my book came out January. I
Mhm.
was like, Palestine,
Heat. You're
where
talking about, like, Jen, heat of, like, October 7th, we're escalating, people don't know what to do, we're still thinking there's some world where a ceasefire is gonna happen, and then you
I
yeah.
said no, I couldn't do it. There, I was not worried about no pre-sales.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think your point also about like, there were points where Amazon was dropping my book price, and I was like, I'm not gonna send y'all over there. No shade. You're gonna have to pay a little bit more and go to
Yeah.
bookshop because I want you to
Yeah.
support indies. I need you to support the indies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And I do appreciate you also saying like, I'd do the same shit again if I had if I had another chance, because I would too. I would too. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna be out here pimping myself out for these sales. I'm not selling out. I just
And I
can't do it.
and I think to I mean, and to be fair, Jen, and it's the thing when I'm talking to black and brown, especially younger black and brown creatives, we've made it into this world where you have to devote everything and all things to the thing that you say matters to you creatively.
Mm,
So if you're a book writer, no 9 to 5, quit your job.
mm,
Be an entrepreneur, quit your job, dude. And I'm like, listen, if I had not been working at the times, I absolutely probably would have been promoting the shit out of my book.
sure.
Like, "Excuse me, burn baby, I got a book to sell." Like, real talk, like, because there's a comfort I had in knowing that I was writing the book with the safety of knowing that I was not dependent on this book in order to
Yeah,
provide for my family. It's a
yeah,
very different process, and I can't judge that
that's
process.
right.
But what I tell folks is, like, it's okay to maintain that thing. Like, I think of Hanya, who's the EIC over at T Magazine.
Mhm,
She's written 2 New York Times bestsellers while still
mhm.
EIC, because she will tell you, she said it in a Guardian interview. She's like, publishing does not pay. So she's like, "I need this
You need a
job."
job.
You need a
You
job.
need a
Y
job.
Like, you think about the Toni Morrisons of the world, the adjunct professors, folks, because we think of work, like, in a it's very skewed. So, like, even, I don't wanna use this, like, he's the best example that comes to mind too, like a Pharrell Williams.
Yeah,
He has a job.
he has a
That's his
job. He does. He does.
he's doing all these other things, but it's
Yeah,
still work, and we've made it feel like if you're not doing just the creative thing, it's like, this is people are still holding down things because people need to survive.
that's right. Especially right
So,
now.
come on, hear me?
Absolutely,
So
absolutely, and I actually I appreciate you bringing that into the conversation because I do think that sometimes people feel guilt when they're not able to fully commit their whole life to the creative,
yep.
and I'm like, "Listen, I mean, I got kids, I got student loan debt,
Hear me? Like, no,
okay, I need I need healthcare, I got disabilities," you know what I'm saying? Like
this is real world, and you can make it happen, and I think when people ask me, "How do you do it?" I'm like, the best thing I can say is, like, you build capacity. Like,
that's right.
I've been doing this for so long. I was working a 9 to 5 and going to open mics. I was doing a 9 to 5 and going to the studio to record. I was finding this is before I had kids, and then I had
Mhm.
already cultivated a practice. So, what we'll do is we'll say, "I'm pouring everything into my children," and I made it very clear. Like, I would bring Lila to sessions, or I would bring Lila to shows because I wanted my child to know that her father had a purpose that existed outside of her. And that's allowed me the ability to, like, devote time to my children, but also carve out space for myself. Like, I'm intentional as fuck about
Mm.
it. So I was able to find pockets. Like, I'd find pockets to write on the train, or like when I would put Lila to sleep, or, after I took a nap. And then, I had a job that sometimes it'd be dead time. And at dead time, I wasn't scrolling. I was
Listen,
on email, writing,
'cause you
typing.
don't belong to them. I tell people all the time, "Listen, I have a job, but I also don't belong to them." So, child, listen, you get a lot done on them little breaks. Listen. So I listen, I appreciate you. I gotta figure out ways to hang out with you in person more because I just feel like anyway, whatever. That's an aside. I know where you at. Imma pull up. Imma pull up. Let me pull up. But this is we finished. I'm sad it's over.
That was great.
But is there anything you want to leave, with first time black queer authors who are saying I wanna do this.
Mm.
Is there anything that you wanna leave, them with on their journey?
Yes. Again, I love you, Jen. And also tell your truth and tell the truth.
Mm,
Right? Like when you asking the question, I'm thinking about our non-binary trans brothers and sisters and like folks who were just trying to figure themselves out for the black men who were trying to figure themselves out, the black women. Like even the brown marginalized folks, whomever, like when people ask me about my social media strategy, I'm like, be honest. Like that's all I did. It was
honesty, yeah,
honesty, and it was me being like, Lauren Hill said something really quickly. Lauren Hill talks about this on her Unplugged CD. I quote her. If you want me to quote something, I can quote a rap lyric and
same,
Unplugged.
same,
Right?
she's in the book, yes.
You know,
She's in the
you know what I'm saying? Like, but the mad science when she talks about being a mad scientist,
Yes,
gonna experiment on herself first.
yes,
That's me. So like my Instagram was me. I'll post a poem. I'll post an affirmation. It was a lot of me playing and figuring out what language felt right to me. But it was my truth.
mm,
I wasn't shy about it. And some things would get 1 like, some things would get 1,000 likes. Even now, I'm like, I play with formats because I'm a curious person. And so for me, I would want the next burgeoning writer or the person who's not sure to be like, just tell your truth.
yeah,
Like you don't have to edit it now. Put it out on the page, do it scared. I know we say that a lot, but if you're telling your truth, you can go to sleep at night. You know what
mm,
I'm saying? Like I can go to sleep, okay, knowing I've said, like when I look at that book, I've said everything I needed to
it's
say.
true,
I've told everyone that I love them.
it's
Like folks can't
true,
tell me that they don't know that. And so I've created an archive, a tomb of sorts for them.
mm,
So, that's for me is like that's the satisfaction that like I've put everything that I believe in on the page. So if I leave here tomorrow, my girls know what their
mm,
father's, and that can be scary, but man, is it
it's
freeing.
freeing,
You know?
ain't it? Yes.
So freeing.
Woo, why am I emotional? Let me sit my ass down.
Hey, you already sitting. You're
I'm
sitting.
already in a sitting position, god damn it.
I'm already in the sitting position.
I'm sick of your ass, man.
Already seated.
Every time I talk to you, I be like, "Why am I in church?" I just feel so gosh, I feel full. I'm just excited for you. I'm excited for what comes next. I'm always stalking your social media because you be on every podcast. I'm like, what did Joel say today? You know? But I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful that Black men have this. So thank you for doing this. I'm gifting my copy to my 17-year-old who's going to college in the fall. So thank you for this for him as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we
yeah.
published. You did it.
We published, we did it, and how lucky he is to be seen and be raised by you.
Mm,
This has been by far one of my favorite
me
conversations.
too. I'm really emotional. I gotta go cry now, but
That's
I'm
not
so
funny.
grateful for you. I really am. So I'm
Same,
I'm I'm glad we're friends, and I'm glad that the world has you. So thank you for your work.
same love, same.